What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Hey Cuz. I'm Colette,
I'm Candace.
and today we're here to talk about dating and race, part one.
This is part one because, again, we need some guys to join the conversation. So we don't see any volunteers, so we're going to do like the teachers used to do and pick some people.
Oh, y'all out.
So look out for a Facebook Messenger, okay? Because we need y'all to come to the table. Stop playing.
Yeah.
So you told me the other day that you received a text message. Was it from your aunt?
It was from my
Would you like to share with the folks?
I will share. So my aunt sent a text message to a group chat with all her nieces and nephews, and I'm gonna read it out. It says, "To all my beautiful Black nieces out there, are y'all having a hard time finding dates? The reason I ask this is I have a Jamaican friend that is saying Black women are not desired on websites or in the dating realm. I know I have been out of the game for a minute because she's married, but I never had this issue, and dating all races and nationalities. I need some feedback in 2021. Maybe COVID brain has turned everyone into ding dongs. Now, COVID has made things worse, but
I don't think, no.
it's
this has nothing to
definitely
do with COVID.
it's made it worse. But it was a mess way before COVID.
I mean, there's been research on all these dating sites like way before COVID happened. So I don't think COVID has anything to do with it.
For sure.
So did y'all ask her what she told her friend? Like, what did she think about it?
No, I responded, and another one of my cousins responded. I have a nice long response here. But the gist of it, I can definitely read my response. I'm gonna read it word for word. I said,
Okay.
finding a date, no. I don't have a problem finding a date. Finding a date worth my time, I said, hell yes. My exact words, dating is trash in 2021. Hell, it was trash in 2020 and 2019 too. COVID definitely made things worse. Lack of honesty, communication on both sides. No one knows what they want. They have a strong, or they don't have a strong sense of self-identity. There is no vision for the future. There's no vision for the future. And there's this, let's just see how today goes type of mentality. Location also plays a factor. I'm here in Austin. Austin is the fourth biggest city for singles. So I said I should have looked that up prior to moving. Age is another factor. 32 and up is my preference. But then you have the guy that is ready to have kids ASAP. They can care less to get to know you on a deeper level. They're just watching all of their friends and families and sort of being pressured by moms and dads for having grandkids. So they want to have kids right away and start a family. They're watching their friends also have families. So that it's more of a monkey see, monkey do. Then there's a 33-year-old that still doesn't know what he wants out of life, just dating aimlessly because why not? People are bored. Dating is just something to do. There's no future planning on the mind, despite you being clear enough and concise to tell them what you want up front and what you're looking for in terms of a life partner, starting a family. Then the older you get, you have some guys that have already been married before or divorced, or they already have kids from previous relationships, which I want no parts of, selfishly and unapologetically. And then you throw my degree in the mix and my ability to live on my own and take care of myself, then I'm also viewed sometimes as a sugar mama. And I said in their eyes, which I'll be damned if I ever. On the other side to that is the whole I'm intimidating, which is more of his own issues with self-esteem and worth. I'm no psychologist, so I won't even entertain guys like that. And then I said, and then there's race. I live in Austin, and there's a small handful of us Black girls out there, even a smaller percentage of Black males that actually want to be with us. And I love my dark chocolate. It is unfair to have to compete with other races because society wants to label me as this angry Black woman for not taking any crap from anyone. Then you have the white guys that also just want to fetishize me. So it's a thing of I want the Black one. I want to date her. I want to see what it's like versus I actually truly want to be with this person because I want to be with this person. And then I said, so yes, your friend is describing modern day dating. Online is even worse. I'm pretty sure she has her standards and she is probably having a hard time meeting a guy which she can match up to those standards. Be happy you're married because you are not missing anything out here. And then I just put in a special touch for my female cousins that were on the thread, not to be discouraged by my long rant. But yeah, that was my gist of my response. And she basically said, you're completely right.
I did have this conversation with one of my brothers-in-law the other day, and I mean, it took a while to get to the conclusion. He was trying to tell me to keep hope alive, but in the end, it's like, yeah, it's kind of hopeless out there. But the thing is, like, it's not just race. Like, that's what we're talking about today, but that's not the problem. I think it's a problem with largely people in our generation. I think it's a generational thing. There are a lot of issues, and we can dive into that another time. So I do think that's a lot to do with it, but that's not to say that there doesn't exist instances where racism plays a part in dating. So that's what we'll address today. Yeah, it's hard out here in these streets, man, especially for a young, successful Black woman. I think the problem largely with our generation is that there's just too many options. We live in the swipe culture, so why settle when you could just swipe? People don't want to settle down. It is what it is. But back to the issue. I want to talk about race and dating because a lot of people, I've had these conversations since college. Primarily, we had these conversations till we're blue in the face. We still have conversations, and I feel like the sentiment hasn't changed. And it gets chalked up to preferences. These are my preferences. But it's like, as far as being human, I feel like the color of one's skin is like the least significant thing. It's like, I just came out this way.
Right. Can't change it.
Like, it doesn't mean anything. Like, you can't tell anything about me just by looking at me. You may think I'm attractive or not attractive, but other than that, that's where it stops. So the fact that you say you have preferences and it's largely based on race, it's like sometimes I just want people to listen to the words that comes out of their mouth. It's completely asinine. Like, oh, it's just my preference. I just prefer Asian women. I just prefer Hispanic women. But I feel like you hear these things more from guys than you do girls. What do you think? Because I don't have these conversations with my girlfriends. It's just like, is he cute? Is he not cute? What does he do? You know what I'm saying? It's never like, oh, I mean, yeah, girls, but especially Black girls, are like, oh, I like a chocolate man or whatever. But 9 times out of 10, the conversation is never a racial preference. Right. What have your experiences been with that?
I would say for my girlfriends that are Black, it's usually okay, there's not like a specific race that they go after. I always thought it was because our pool is limited. So it was just a hard time to go, okay, I only want this when our pool is already limited with who is attracted back to us. And then I have some other friends, of other races, and I do hear some of them, they want this specific guy, they want that specific guy. But I really don't have too many friends that are just like, I only want this race. It's just, really, I would say it's based on location and also what they're around. Like here in Austin, there's a lot of Hispanics down here, so they might have a preference for that, but that's where they live. That's what they see. That's what they're around. So
I just feel like growing up, that was just not a conversation amongst the girls. It's like, is he cute or is he not cute? That's all that, I mean, I feel like as far as attraction, race never mattered to me. Like, I just don't recall these conversations, but it seems to be a heavy conversation amongst the guys. But that just speaks to the patriarchy. We won't go there today. Oh, we won't go there today. They deny that men have the upper hand as far as dating. It just is what it is. So maybe that's why they get to have these conversations. But I think it's just shallow and it's ignorant and it's stupid. But I think what's even worse is that they deny it. Yeah. So just a few statistics, like OkCupid, this is funny. This is just the most contradictory statement I've ever read. So they said that Black men had little racial preference at all. They actually rate Black women and white women the same, but far below their rating for Asian and Latino women. Very contradictory.
But they don't have a preference.
Right, but there's no preference. There's no preference. While non-Black men all gave very low ratings to Black women. Meanwhile, women all prefer men of their own race, but rated Black men and Asian men significantly lower, with the exception of the Black women who rate Black men and Asian women who rate Asian men. So it's like, we checking for you, but y'all ain't checking for us.
Of course, that's been the story.
But then you checking for people who ain't checking for you.
I know.
And that's the conversation that I had in college. I'm like, y'all love to say, oh, y'all attracted to Asian women, y'all attracted to Hispanic women. But I'm like, they're not checking for y'all. Especially, and we want to go into the colorism thing, like, especially the darker you get, I'm sorry, let's to be honest, they're not looking for you.
It's worse.
They're not. But y'all got these preferences and y'all want to deny it. Like my friend literally said verbatim, oh, I'm attracted to Asian women and I'm attracted to Hispanic women, but I always end up with a Black queen. That was supposed to pacify me. That was supposed to make me feel good about myself. That I'm like,
how does he?
That sounds like I'm substandard, like subpar. You ended up with me. How about, do I want to end up with you? Like, not with a mindset like that. So you can miss me with that. And then what's even worse is that Black men, especially, like who do they idolize the most? Their mama, their grandma, and what do their mama and their grandma look like?
Black.
They admire their mom is their queen. She is strong. She held it down. But when you find someone your same age that mirrors that, oh, it's aggressive. But really, I think that the term that they should use is intimidating. And the fact that it's intimidating, that means you should check your own self. Right. That's not my problem.
Right.
Sir.
We're not building up a man. This is not build a bear. This does not fall on us.
I don't believe in that build a bear. I don't believe in that. Why? I'm my own bear and I built myself.
Exactly.
That was tough enough. I don't need to I just don't understand why. But we do understand, back to the picture, women are expected to settle. And I mean, if that means me being single, then I could do bad all by myself, because I'm not here for it. Like I said, I work really hard to get where I am. I don't mind encouraging you, inspiring you, but I don't believe in struggle love. Ain't no coming out the mud for me. So
you gotta admit your own demons, admit your own traumas, and fix that on your own.
Just me, myself personally. I'm not. That's just not for me. It's a no for me, dog. So yeah. So I feel like this goes back to. It just goes back to slavery, Jim Crow, and it's just things that linger till now. What is the term that I read? It's from a book called The Dating Divide, and they called it digital sexual racism. So this is specifically relating to online dating, which I guess is more common. I don't know if it's more common these days, but that's the term that they coined for it. And it just shows through, you can do research on any of these sites. So the first one was OkCupid. This other one, what I looked up was Facebook. It was Facebook dating. And they reviewed 2.4 million heterosexual interactions. And women get 3 more interactions than men do, which makes sense because men are the ones who generally pursue people. Mm-hmm. All men seem to be interested in people outside of their race, which, like we said, men have the upper hand in dating. Black men and Black women get the lowest response rates to their messages. So as much as y'all love to be checking for these other people, like I said, they ain't checking for you. So there's that. And all women except Black women were most drawn to white men. Men of all races prefer, except for one, they didn't say who it was, prefer Asian women. So that, I mean, it just goes back to stereotypes. People are operating in their lives based on stereotypes. And it's just like, they don't realize it. And then they also don't want to acknowledge it. And that it's just like the fetishization of Asian women. And that's been seen in, old Hollywood films and all these things. It perpetuates. And then there's the hypersexualization of Black women, also the hypersexualization of Black men. I asked my cousin the other day, I was like, how does that make you feel that you're pretty much just seen as a body? You're something to just be experienced. This one guy, he infiltrated a group chat, a women's group chat, and he was shocked to see that, the girls there, I think they were white girls, they were like, oh, I just wanted to try it out. I just wanted to see if the stereotype, if the rumors were true. Like, is that good enough for you as a man? I mean, they say men, all men care about is sex, so maybe that is good enough for them. I don't know. I want to know. Y'all let me know, because I feel like you should value yourself more than that. And yeah, so familiarity is important, of course, but if you're going based off familiarity, each race would be attracted to their own race. That would make sense. But of course, we know that's not reality.
Right.
So didn't you looked up some statistics as well?
Yeah. Mine was with OkCupid as well. And they asked different races of women to rate different races of men and vice versa. And still, the Black woman was rated the lowest from all races. So let's see here. Black men rating Black women on online dating, OkCupid at 1%. Black men rating Asian and Latino women at 2%. And the Black woman rating Black men, their desire for dating Black men at 23%, and rated Asian and Latinos at -13% and 3%. So still just showing that the Black woman is desiring the Black man, and the Black man is desiring other races over the Black woman.
Everybody else but
us.
Yeah. So the dating divide book said that Black men and Black women feel walled off by the demonized and hypersexualized images of themselves in the media that have been absorbed by non-Black daters. So I just feel like in order for these issues to be resolved, they need to be acknowledged.
Right.
And that's the problem. Every time I have these conversations with my friends, they deny it. And they just want to say it's a preference, it's a preference. Okay, it's a preference, but why? Mm-hmm. That's the question that I want to ask.
And it makes sense if, like I said, you're in a location where that is what you're exposed to.
Of course.
That makes sense. No one's coming at you for that. But do you still love your race enough that if you were to have that opportunity, would you approach that person? That's what I want to know.
When I started college, it was a very small environment. It was a new college, very small environment. It was very diverse. So it was like the United Nations. So that's why these conversations were very important, just to gauge what guys were thinking. So is it that they're trying to date outside their race just to experience something new? Or are they holding these biases based off of stereotypes? The world will never know because they can never answer the question. But
start calling them out one by one.
Inquiring minds want to know. But like I said, there's a color struck problem, and there's a racism problem, and they will deny it till they're blue in the face. But like I said, when you look me in the face with a straight face and say, yeah, I like Asian girls, and yeah, I like Hispanic girls, but I always end up with a Black girl, and you expect that to make me feel good about myself, that's delusional. Like, it's just like, listen to the words.
Person with a Black person right now, Black woman?
Currently?
Yeah.
No, they're not.
There we go.
So they don't even live by their own theory. If you get what you seek out. And it's just funny that just when you observe, it's like you go, it goes outside of being a preference when you go out of your way to seek out certain type of people. Mm-hmm. And when you look, it's like nothing else matters. You just wanted to date an Asian girl. You just wanted to date a Hispanic girl, but nothing else about that girl mattered. Like, you overlooked all these other Black girls with all these great qualities, educated, funny, and, great conversationalist, good personality. They're into the same things you're into, just to date an Asian girl who meets none of your other qualifications, but being Asian or but being Hispanic, and you want to deny that your preference is not racially driven, that's a problem for me. You can have a preference all you want. I just want you to understand the preference. That's all I'm saying. And I mean, it's not a surprise. Like, there have been research after research after research, and pretty much all the results are always the same.
We are at the bottom.
So is it unintentional? Is it harmless? Or is it just modern day Jim Crow all over again, in a sense? It was codified into law. It was illegal to date or to marry someone outside of your race. It was the law. So just because the law disappeared, do we think that these preferences, these so-called preferences and biases and these rules, that have been coded in society, do we think that they disappeared? No, I say it every day. They took down the signs. That's the only difference between Jim Crow and now. They just took down the sign. The whites only color don't. They just took down the signs. No Asians allowed here. No Japs are allowed here. No Chinese. Those signs were up on the stores and restaurants and everywhere. The only difference between now and then is that they took down the signs. I just refuse to believe that those beliefs just magically disappear. They don't magically disappear until you address them.
And do you think it's I couldn't have you before, so now I want you because now I can have you, and all of a sudden
I think that's part of it. That's part of it. Kanye said it.
They can.
When he get on, he ask for a white girl. He said it's not like it's not a joke. It's the truth. We see it all the time with the actors and the athletes. It's like people become commodities. It's just something to be had. And some people don't care, but I don't want my relationship to be based off of me being a conquest for you.
Right.
That doesn't make me feel, some people are flattered. It's not flattering to me. No. I don't want my relationship to be based off some racially driven, fetishized stereotype. That's not cute to me. Sorry, not sorry. Some people might like it, that it ain't for me. So they also address in the book that, I'll just read this paragraph real quick. The idea that Black women are not suitable for respectable dating or marriage, but instead fitting for temporary sexual relations, which is another problem because they want to hook up with us, but they do not want to date or marry us. So that's a whole nother problem with, like I said, the hypersexualization of Black men and women. It stems from what's called the Jezebel image, which is a sexually aggressive Black woman dating back to slavery, Jim Crow, and present in the 21st century. The ludicrous belief that Black men are dangerous and aggressive stems from the 19th century and much of the early 20th century, when intimacy between Black men and white women was considered assault, despite consensual interest. And it says the book dives deeper into these things. And it's like there were rules and regulations that prevented non-Black people from mating and dating Black people, from finding them attractive, from finding them worthy of respect, while also feeling anti-Blackness in general. So it's just like these same ideals just got transferred to our generation, got transferred to the digital space, i.e. Tinder or OkCupid or whatever the rest of the sites are. So it's just like, why? I just don't understand. And it's not just in dating, it's in anything. Why is it that this one singular thing drives all of your decisions? Like I said, it's the least significant part of a person. Like a holistic human being is the color of their skin. I mean, that's something that they can't control. But that's the one thing that matters. It's kind of ridiculous. Like, I can control my level of education, my level of intelligence, my interest in certain things, my level of humor. And I mean, those are things that I can develop, and you know what I'm saying? But I came out this way.
Right.
And depending on the season, for me, it can go one way or the other, but either way, I'm going to wake up Black and I'm going to go to sleep Black. And I feel like it's irrelevant. It's just completely irrelevant. And it's just fascinating to observe people's dating tendencies and where's the denial thereof.
Yeah, because you also have my family, does not want me coming home with a Black male or a Black woman. So I'm going to date everything else. Or I'm going to sleep with them, but I won't bring them home.
Or I'll bring them home just to piss off my parents.
That too.
Either way, it's like, but either way, it's just not it for me. I just don't feel like that's flattering. And we're going to have a conversation about interracial marriage. Because you hear these things like, the woman might say, I wanted to make my dad mad, so I married a Black man, or the Black man, married, they idealize the white woman as, the goal. That's something to aspire to. It's an ideal of success in the minds of some Black men, so they want to make their family proud by bringing home a white woman. And also they want to piss off the white girl's dad because they know he doesn't like him. I just feel like that's not a good way to start off a marriage.
Right.
Just in my head. And I'm not saying that people of opposite races can't be attracted to each other. I think they absolutely can. I feel like I've been attracted to people of all types of races. It's just that, are they interested in me? Not necessarily. But I believe it's possible to be organically and naturally attracted to someone of a different race. However, I do feel like a lot of decisions people make are driven based off of stereotypes, and that's very unhealthy. And I just feel like people just need to do some introspection to really see I just feel like if you have a preference based off race, then there's no justification for that. Right. You can be naturally attracted to someone, that's fine. But just to say that you have a preference toward a specific race or nationality, like there's something that's just, it doesn't sit right with me. I just feel like that will never be justifiable. Mm-hmm. I just feel like that's not healthy. I don't know. Because I feel like it's always going to be based on something negative. Like, why are you specifically attracted to these types of people? And I had the same when I was having a conversation with my brother-in-law, he was like, you are angry, you are aggressive. He was joking, of course. But it's like,
what?
But even as a joke, it's the truth. Because if I get, a little angry, I'm seen as being aggressive. And I've been called aggressive many times, out in dating and outside of dating. But it's like when an Asian girl does it, it's cute because she's soft and fair and small and vulnerable. It's cute when an Asian girl does it. I've heard these things. But when a Hispanic girl does it, it's spicy. It's spicy. It's spicy. I love that. I've heard guys say this. I hang around. I know. I'm like one girl out of all my guy friends. Like I'm around a lot of guys all the time. I hear these things. Mm-hmm. They might want to deny it, but I'm an observant person. I hear it. I see it. You guys say these things. Mm-hmm. It's spicy. This is spicy Latina. It's a stereotype. We see it on TV too. So it's like you need to check yourself and check these biases that are ingrained into your mind. Because you may want to chalk it up to a preference, but that is not a preference.
Right.
That is indoctrination.
Mm-hmm. The same qualities they're, expressing with the mom as being a Black woman. And it's, that's where I pull my strength from. I look up to this person. When it comes to dating and looking at the Black woman, then it's aggression, then it's anger, then it's violence, then it's, she doesn't submit to me. It's a lot of that. But
my problem with this whole submission thing is, one, if you're going from a religious perspective, it says to submit to your husband, right, not to your boyfriend. Right. And these guys are expecting wife level. It's like you playing a video game. You want the wife level benefits with the girlfriend level package. Like, no, sir. No. And also, the second part of that is you want someone to submit to you, but are you capable of leading?
Ooh. Come on, Candace.
Let the church say. y'all ain't hear me. But y'all ain't hear me, church. Are you capable of leading as a young man in this generation? Yes. My observation is no. A lot of guys like to say, I've heard a lot of guys, like I said, I hang around a lot of guys. I don't like making decisions. I'm just chill. I'm laid back. That's the whole, I don't care. Well, who's supposed to submit to that? We don't know where we're going. You want me to get in the car and sit in the passenger seat and not what do you call that, the secondhand driver, whatever, backseat driver. You don't want a backseat driver, but you don't know where you're going either.
Right.
Like, explain it to me, make it make sense, as the kids say these days. Come to the table, gentlemen. Come to the table, because I know, like, a lot of y'all gonna be mad about this conversation, and that's fine. But come, we're inviting you. We want to dialogue. I want to understand. I really want to understand, because I'm not just throwing y'all under the bus. But let's call a thing a thing. I don't. That's a miss. I just hate that word. It's so gross. But yeah, I'm just like, you expect someone to submit when you lack leadership skills, and that's a problem. Mm-hmm. Make it make sense.
Yep. It's a scary word, but in all honesty, it should flow. He should be able to lead. He should know where he's going in life. He should be established with, what he wants to do. And if he's not there yet, there's plans in place of how to get there. I'm going to say, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, but I have no sense of direction. I didn't plan it out on how to get there. And I expect this woman to pull me up by my bootstrap to get there.
I think there's a lot of people, men and women, who are just floating in the wind in our generation. I don't know what happened to our generation. I just honestly don't know what happened. They're just now, and where I'm approaching 30, I know a lot of people who are just now figuring it out. And I mean,
just don't date until you figure it out.
I'm glad they're figuring it out. But it's funny that, we get judged because we did figure it out sooner. Mm-hmm. You get that whole, it's just funny, like, people contradict themselves. They'll judge you because they'll say, oh, you were born with a silver spoon. It was not by any means silver, but we'll just say silver spoon in your mouth. Everything was given to you and blah, blah, blah. But then on the second hand, you want to talk about building generational wealth. To me, that is generational wealth. Generational wealth is not just about money. Right. I feel like that's the least important thing. It's about principles and values. Right. Like in my family, the generational wealth they passed on was the value of education, the value of being a good person, the value of knowing yourself. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like it's kind of coming back to bite us in the butt a little bit. I have gotten judged because people are like, oh, you lived with your parents while you were in college, you were able to save and blah, blah. But it's this very same people who are judging me are now learning that that's the intelligent thing to do. Why would you demonize somebody for that? It's wise. Stay at home as long as you can. Right. That's the best way to save money. Duh. Like, duh. School is not cheap. Like, so I still don't know how I made it through college to this day. Man, I still don't know.
Parents definitely was. I'm very, very grateful for it. But
I mean, them scholarships, I was applying for scholarships left and right, but it's just the value system. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like you have a set of people who, and also in building generations, I feel like you need to build them, not just create them. I feel like a lot of people create generations. People have kids, but are they really raising them? Yeah. Are they building people? Are they educating them to be good human beings?
Right.
Wholesome human beings. Like I mean, it's just, especially when we, these issues start in childhood. Mm-hmm. And now we're seeing the repercussions of it now that we're older and our parents are wondering why nobody's married.
Right.
It's from these same things that were taught in childhood.
Exactly.
Or things that weren't taught in childhood. Now we're grown up and looking each other in the face like this.
You have the whole,
the guys don't think they're good enough and the girls don't want to settle.
Uh-huh. And then the females is, you better not date until you're 30, 40 or whatever, as a joke. But then we get to those ages and now you're looking at your son like, why won't you settle down? You're looking at your daughter like, why aren't you married yet?
Why aren't you having kids?
This is what you taught them. Don't.
Like, kids need socialization. You can't tell your kid they can't date till they're 20 and then expect them to just magically learn it overnight. Right. We have a lot of people in our generation. A lot of people in our generation are not self-aware. They're socially awkward. Especially, let's keep it real, because especially, I don't know, I know this was heavy in the Black community, Caribbean community. They didn't want us to date. They're
Right.
very sheltered, especially immigrant families. Most immigrant families come to America, they shelter their children because it's an unfamiliar place. But if you shelter your children for so long, when they get out in the world,
They don't know how
they have a hard time interacting. It's just, I mean, these things, there's repercussions for every action.
Mm-hmm.
Every action has equal opposite reaction. I mean, it's just like, what did you expect to happen?
Right.
Even I have moments where I'm a little socially awkward sometimes, I feel. And it's just like, I feel like sometimes I'm shy and awkward in social situations because we were begging to go out.
Right.
Even in college. I mean, fortunately, I started college very young. I didn't get to do much. Mm-hmm. So by the time I'm old enough to experience things, I'm like,
experience everything.
I'm that, and then I'm just kind of lost doing it. I'm just figuring it out as I go along. There's no roadmap.
Right.
But I also feel like it was a dangerous thing for parents to instill these traditional values in a modern world without taking that into consideration. It's a different time. And also they instill the value of marriage without instilling the value of values. It's not just about marriage. It's about who you marry. Mm-hmm. Like, you just can't just pressure someone to get married, because there are women and men who go out their way to get married, and it don't matter who they get married. They just got a ring. Right. We idolize marriage too much. And really, I feel like we don't idolize marriage. We idolize weddings. Because if you cared about the marriage, you would train a child up in the way that they should go. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's very uneven because more pressure is placed on the child about getting married. You don't place those values in your sons. So when we grow up, you have girls who desire to get married and guys who could care less. Right. And we make it make sense.
I've heard all the jokes.
Can we have some parents come to the table? I need to understand the logic.
Egged on for dating and talking to this girl and that girl. Egged on.
Of course. We see it. And we already know what happened in our family.
And then it's like, you can't be talking to anybody. You're too young.
Make it make sense.
No, sir. And now that I'm 30, I'm getting calls from my parents. We want grandkids. Have you met anybody yet? There's no prospects. There's no guys out there. Raise better guys if you want me to eventually settle down and get.
It's like you raise each child very unevenly, and that has repercussions. Because when we grow up, you have girls who you said it's important to get married, but you didn't teach that to your male children.
Right.
And it's important to get married, but like I said, who are you getting married to? What kind of values did you instill in your kids, if any?
Mm-hmm. I mean, itself just to push this idea of marriage on our daughters, our females, because then there's this complex of like thinking you are not complete as a person because you have not met.
Well, like I said, that's the problem with imposing traditional values on modern people. Well, what's the point of marriage anyway? The point of marriage was women had no, what's the word I'm looking for? They had no control over anything. They couldn't do anything without the permission of a man. So yeah, marriage was necessary. But then there was the feminist movement and women wanted to go into the workplace and they wanted, rights and privileges, and they got them. So now marriage isn't necessary.
You don't have to be married. If you
I
think that's great and beautiful.
It's a desire, but the desire is not even amongst people. It was necessary to be married once upon a time. Mm-hmm. It was necessary. For a woman to navigate the world, she needed the permission of a man. With either the man was her father, and when she got older, that man was her husband. But none of that is necessary anymore. I don't need my daddy's permission to do anything. Mm-hmm. I'm grown. I don't like that. That's old school mindset. But that old school mindset was passed down. But we don't live in that world. Mm-hmm. We're navigating a world that's completely different from the world that we were raised for. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a large part of the problem with people in our generation. Our parents had, especially, like I said, immigrant families, they have very old school mindset, very old school values, but it's a different world. And a lot of the tools that they gave us equipped us did not equip us for the world that we live in. It equipped us for the world that they grew up in, and that has long gone. It's like they want us to build a table, but they gave us the wrong tools and the wrong parts. Like I can't use the parts that you use to build yours, to build the one that's functional for me. It's not gonna work. So how do we resolve this? Besides acknowledging it, what now? What do we do now?
I don't know. I'm at peace of whichever way it goes for me. You know, if I meet somebody, get married one day and have a family, kudos. If not, I'm okay with that as well.
Yeah, it's sad that
I mean, that is sad to say. I'm an only child.
Yeah, I did come to this conclusion years ago that like
there is no generation after it. It's just that's it. There's no grandkids. That's where the name stops for my family. They don't want to.
I came to the conclusion years ago that I might just have to be the cool aunt, especially after living in Atlanta. It was a realization that hit me that I was very unlikely to find my partner here. Atlanta just is its own beast anyway. It's just a difference. Not even, we don't need to talk about it. But yeah, it's just.
And I find
and I wonder if that's a thought in a lot of millennials' mindset that like, yeah, I just have to be okay with the fact that I might just end up single.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad.
That is sad. But I can't fathom the idea of being married just for the hell of being married either, because then you're just that person.
For me, marriage was just never on the forefront of my mind. I just was like, I want to live my life and I want to accomplish these certain goals and I want to see the world. If I get married, and it would be great to have someone to do it with, sure. Mm-hmm. But it was never an obsession of mine. So maybe that works out in my favor as well. But
family, yes, but I'm not tied down to if this doesn't happen, what was me?
No, it's not going to kill me if it doesn't happen. But also, I feel better about it because I know it's not necessarily my fault.
That is true. You cannot just drag somebody down the aisle and tell them, hey,
like we have these conversations. I feel like every holiday table, like these conversations come up and I just throw it back. I throw it in their face. I'm like, you tell me why I'm single. Mm-hmm. And then it gets quiet. So I'm like, let me break it down for you. It goes back to the way that you raise your children. You raise your daughters with one set of values and you raise your sons with opposing set of values. And we grow up and what did you expect to happen? I want to talk to some parents. Like I do. I just want to understand. Like, did you just not think about it? Like
it worked for them.
Like, I just want to know. And then there's the guys who want all these traditional values from the modern woman. But I'm like, you're barely a modern man, but I'm definitely not a traditional one. Mm-hmm. It's a double standard. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that will ever be solved. But I think if each person becomes more self-aware and just works on it themselves, it may become better. Mm-hmm. So I think we just need to have more of these conversations. Y'all let us know what you think. We've said our piece.
Yep. Guys, please join in. We will start hitting you up in your messages and asking you to come on. But definitely, yeah. I know there's some good guys out there. I know that.
Of course.
I don't know where you guys are, but I know you.
Where they at, though? Where they
know what you want in life. You ready?
That's what my brother-in-law said. He's like, I know there's good guys out there, but where are they?
Well,
there's no one bad of anything. There's not all guys are bad, not all black people are bad. There's good and bad people of every time. Mm-hmm. We know this, but I do feel like there's a lot of issues in our generation that are going unaddressed and definitely going unsolved. Mm-hmm. So I feel like things won't get better until we start to talk about it.
Right.
So that's that.
That is that. I guess we'll have to stay tuned for our future to see where we end up, guys.
I know, right? We're gonna recruit some guys to come to the table because we need to know what you guys are thinking.
Yes.
What's on your mind? Let's talk about it. We're not here to beat you guys up. We really want to know what you think. So we're not gonna bite. Come to the table. So I'm not gonna bite. I can only speak for myself. But yes, we want to know what you think. We want to know if you guys are feeling the same way. We want to know, because I know a lot of good guys who feel the same way.
Well,
I mean, people are a product of their circumstances, because it's not all necessarily guys are bad, but there's also women who allow them to be.
Oh, of course.
So there's that too.
Yes.
And for me, like, people always say, oh, you bash. I don't bash nobody. Anybody can get it. I see everything. There's both sides. There's two sides to every coin. So you have guys who are allowed to do whatever they want, and then there's the handful of girls who allow them to. So when you have two quality people, it's hard to get those people together. So let's talk about it. This was Race and Dating, part 1 of however many, we don't know. This is Hey Cuz, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Peace and love.